Hello, do-it-yourselfer. I'm attorney Art Warren, and I want to take a few minutes of your time and tell you about this amazing package that I've created for people just like you who want to do their own uncontested divorce. I am really excited to share it with you because it's packed full of tons of value and benefits that's going to save you a lot of time and effort and reduce the amount of stress that most people experience when they're going through a divorce like you're going to be going through. I created this package to make your life easier and to keep you from making the same sort of mistakes that people make who set out to do their own divorce. Before I do that, I want to make sure that you qualify for this package. The last thing I want you to do is invest money into something that won't work for you. There are basically two qualifications that you need to meet in order for you to make this package work for you. The first is you or your spouse need to be a Texas resident. Either one of you in this package will work. But number two, and I think this is extremely important, is that the two of you need to have an agreement that your spouse is going to sign off on all the documents once you prepare them and present them to your spouse. And if you can say yes to both of those, then this package is going to be awesome for you. I want to start out by stating the obvious, that there are really only two ways you can do a divorce: DIY or hire an attorney. And as you probably found out, that hiring an attorney is extremely expensive. So you're probably looking at doing your own divorce to save money. Now, with the do-it-yourself divorce, you potentially save a lot of money, but there are a lot of headaches. There are a lot of things that you have to overcome and do, and you spend an enormous amount of time doing the divorce on your own. So what I've done is created what I call a hybrid. It's do-it-yourself, but done for you. Meaning there are going to be portions of the divorce that you're going to do yourself and others that I'm going to do for you. And the things that can get you into trouble, those are the things that I'm going to do for you. And consequently, by doing this, it's going to save you a lot of time and effort and reduce your stress and ultimately get you across the finish line to where you want to be and have your divorce and have it done properly. So let me explain how it works. So I'm going to walk you through what you have to do in order to do your own divorce. So in a pure DIY divorce where you're doing it yourself, you're probably going to spend about 15 to maybe 25 hours, depending on the divorce, the complications, or if you even have children and assets. On the lower end, you don't have any assets, maybe it'll take you 15 hours or so. On the higher end, if you got a family, you got assets, you got kids, etc., it's going to take you 25, maybe even 30 hours, but it's going to take a lot of time either way. And there are potential problems that can come up that can get you roadblocks, hurdles, mistakes, etc. So let me walk you through a typical DIY divorce, what you would have to do in order to get your divorce started and finished. All right, so it usually starts out like this. You have your cell phone and you're probably watching this on your cell phone. Most people use their cell phone devices to search nowadays. So you pull out your phone, you search the internet, and you go to a website, I think it's called Texas Law Help. And they've got a bunch of forms and do-it-yourself types of documents there. So you spend some time, you search through the website, and you figure out which forms you need. Now, you've got to download those forms because you cannot do your paperwork on your telephone. So you're going to have to download it either to your phone or you're going to have to wait until you get to a computer where you can download it on the computer. But either way, you're going to end up downloading the forms. Now, once you've got the forms, you've got to read the instructions. So you spend some time reading the instructions. And in order for you to get the forms, you either got to print them at home. If you got a printer, if you don't have a printer at home, if you can print them at work, maybe you can print them at work. Or you're going to have to go to somewhere like Kinko's or Office Max or Office Depot or someplace like that. But you have to transfer the documents to a thumb drive. You drive to one of these facilities and you wait in line. You figure out how you can get your documents printed. But finally, you get them printed. You give them the thumb drive. Perhaps they take it off and they print them for you. You drive back home and now you're able to start working on the documents. So you put the documents out on the table. And then you read the instructions. So you go through and read the instructions and you have a good feel for what you need to do. So now you start filling out the form. So you have to read each paragraph. And I've seen these forms, and they've got all these different little paragraphs, and you check boxes and write stuff in. So there are going to be a lot of things that you don't understand, and you're going to have some trouble with. You may research the internet again. You use the internet to do some research to try to figure out what they're getting at. But you make your way through it. You finally get through it. And so now you've got your petition. That's your petition. And you've got about 3 or 4 other documents that you're going to have to use throughout the divorce. But let's start with the petition. So now you got the petition and you are ready to file it. So your next step is you've got to get it filed. So what do? You have to ask your boss, can you take off work early? You drive down to the courthouse. You park your car. You walk a few blocks to the courthouse after you've paid for your parking. And in all courthouses, they have the metal detectors because they're government buildings, and you got to go through security. So you got to undress, kind of like you do at the airport. You get through the metal detector, and then you go upstairs to the district clerk's office. And there, depending on the courthouse, you're the big courthouse, you pay, maybe you take a number and you wait your turn to go up to the counter to share, to provide or present them with your petition. So now, hopefully you've done everything right. You give the clerk your petition, they look it over, and if you've made any mistake at all, they're not going to accept your document. And they're going to tell you, we can't accept it. And you're going to have this look on your face like, oh man, what did I do wrong? And the clerk is probably going to tell you in the most polite voice, hopefully it'll be polite, that we can't give you legal advice. And they'll probably direct you to the local library or to the website that you've already gone to, or perhaps they'll tell you to go and consult with an attorney. But let's be positive. Let's assume that you've done it all correct. So they're going to take your money, you pay for your filing fee, and they're going to stamp your petition with the the court number and the case number. And if you've read the instructions properly, the instructions probably told you to take 2 or 3 documents, copies there so they can stamp it. And if you didn't, now you're going to have to take a picture of it or something like that. But assuming that you've done everything right, you've brought your documents, they stamp it, you have your documents, and you take them home, and now you've finished step 1. And probably at this point, you've spent maybe 3 hours or so of your time doing this and taking off work. So you've got to do this for at least 2, 3 other documents. You have to go through the same process. All right, so now you're at the next step, which is you've got to get your spouse to sign the waiver. So depending on how you've done things, either you're going to go and meet with your spouse. That's going to take some time out of your schedule, or you're going to email it to them, which is probably the most efficient way. So let's say you email your document, the waiver over to the document, and you're also going to have to email them the petition, which means that you've had to scan in your petition. So you've got to have a scanner. If you don't have a scanner at home, you got to go back to Kinko's or Office Max and scan in the document, or perhaps you could fax it. But most people are going to use a scanner, and you cannot use a camera on your phone and take pictures. The quality of the documents is going to be poor, and the court is not going to accept a JPEG or a picture. It must be scanned, and it must be quality. It must be a professional document. So anyway, you email the waiver over to your spouse, and this is potentially, and most times, where the bottleneck comes in, because now your spouse has got to do the same thing that you did. They've got to find a printer if they don't have a printer at home. They've got to go to Kinko's, Office Max, or Office Depot and do the same thing. Print the document. They're going to go get it notarized, and then they've got to scan it back in and send it to you. And guess what happens when you get the document back from them, when they've finally gotten it? Because, it may have taken them a week or 2 to do this because it's not a priority of theirs. So you get to go back downtown, park your car after you've taken off work. Well, I guess really you got to take off work. Then you go downtown and do all the same things that I talked about earlier and wait to file your document. And you're going to have to do this several more times, or a couple of more times, all the way down till you get to your divorce decree. And both you and your spouse are going to have to sign that one. So you're going to have to connect with them or meet them, or again, if you email it to them, they can print it, send it back to you. You'll have to print it, sign it, and then take the document downtown. But only this time, you're going to have to take more time off of work. After you've filed it, you've got to set it for a hearing, and you're going to take more time off because The day that you go to get the judge to sign your decree, you have no idea how long you're going to be there. They're usually 20, 30, 40 people on the docket, and you don't know where you are on the docket. They kind of get to you whenever they get to you. And most times you have attorneys who have their business to handle. It could be 2-3 hours. They're doing hearings, et cetera, et cetera. And you're having to sit there and wait until they call you up to do your prove up. And most people, I can tell you this, most people are very uncomfortable when they go into the courtroom because they're not familiar with it. It's this unknown feeling. You got the bailiff in there who's barking orders. Stand up, sit down, cut off your phone, be quiet, don't talk, shh, and so on and so forth. Even me as a lawyer, I always felt uncomfortable whenever I go to court because it's this, I don't know, it's this uneasy feeling. But you as a layperson, you're going to feel more uncomfortable and more anxious. And then coupled with the fact that you're doing your divorce and you don't know what to expect. But anyway, that's the process that you have to go through when you do it yourself. And as I said before, by the time you get to the end, you will have spent 15 to 30 hours doing this. And it's going to take you a lot longer than 2 months. So now let me contrast or compare that to this particular package. I want to tell you how it works. I would say you're going to spend about 20 to 30 minutes of your time total to complete your divorce when you use this package. Okay? And I wanted to tell you right now, you definitely will be representing yourself. You will be pro se, but I'm going to do all the heavy lifting, all the work. So what happens is you fill out our client intake form. And from that, I'm going to take the information and I'm going to draft your documents, all of your documents, every document that you have to have in order to finish your divorce. I'm going to draft those and we will send those documents to you for you to review. And we want you to review them for their accuracy, make sure that names are spelled right, birth dates, driver's license numbers, etc. Make sure that that stuff is correct, because if it's not, then we're going to have to amend the documents. Okay. So once we've sent you over, let's say your first document, which is your petition, you look it over, you review it, and you're like, wow, this is good to go. And at that point, you've got two choices. You can either go and file it yourself, or you can have us to e-file it for you. I can tell you that 99% of my clients have us to e-file it because it saves them so much time. They don't want to take off of work and drive downtown and fight traffic and stand in lines, etc. And in addition to that, when it comes time to get the document to your spouse, okay, like the waiver, instead of you having to email it to them, we do it. And here's a huge benefit that we just throw this in for free. We're going to load your documents, or that document that you send to your spouse. We're going to load it up into our document signing application. It's similar to DocuSign. We're going to send that to your spouse by email, and then your spouse can look at it online. They can be on a phone. They can be anywhere. It could be on vacation. Even you, when we send it to you, you can be anywhere. As long as you have internet connection, you will be able to sign that document, as will your spouse. So your spouse pulls out their phone. They read the document. They can sign it right there online, hit the button that says finalize, and the document comes back to us. And guess what we get to do with it? We e-file it for you. And here's where it also gets good. So when we e-file those documents for you, every document that we e-file, the county is going to receive it and they're going to accept it. And when they accept that document, they're going to send us an email confirmation back that we are going to forward to you so that you know when the document was filed, you know when it was accepted. And in that email confirmation, there's a link in there that has a download button that you can download that document onto your computer, phone, or wherever you want to keep it. And you can keep an electronic file of all of your documents so that you know what documents have been filed, when they were accepted by the court. We do all of that for free. In addition to that, with the e-filing service, and that's you'll see it in the packet down below, so just look for it. Here's a huge time saver. You're going to really like this one. So most courts will allow us to submit your testimony, okay? And what that does is it prevents you from having to go to court and spend half a day or all day. So in other words, the day that you go with the normal DIY route, when you go and sit there and wait for the judge to call you up to the bench and ask you a bunch of questions, we're going to do this by submitting your documents electronic. Most courts will allow us to do this. And we're going to submit your testimony, and all you have to do is call the court, speak to the clerk, and tell the clerk, all my documents are there. You give them your name, your case number, and they'll pull up your file, and you say, all my documents are there. Will you submit my divorce decree to the judge for signature? And if you're in a court like most courts are, nowadays will allow you to do this, your case will be signed off on and you will never have spent one day in the court or stepped one foot into the courtroom. And that saves you a huge amount of time, and it reduces the amount of stress and the anxiety that you're going to feel the day that you go to finalize your divorce. And so we do all of that for the one fee down below that you pay when we e-file your documents. But if you don't want it, you just untick the box and you don't have to do that. And you can, when we prepare your documents, you can manually take them downtown and go through the process that I was saying earlier, which most people don't want to do. And so that's how my system compares or contrasts to you doing it yourself, where you're going to spend a lot of time, versus the way we do it for you. It's all done for you. Basically, all you're doing is reading documents, reviewing them, and making sure that they reflect what it is that you had in mind when you set out to do your divorce. And that's it. So that's the way it works. So if you're interested in this particular package and you want to save time and you're busy and you don't have time, take off work, and you don't want to make mistakes that's going to set you behind, and you want to get your divorce done within a couple of months, then there's a green button down below that says, I want this package. Just click that green button and pick your payment option, and we'll take it from there. Okay. Once you hit that button, it's going to take you to a form, our client intake form. And all I want you to do is fill out that form. And probably, in fact, that's the most amount of time that you will spend doing your own divorce, is filling out that form. And that may take you 5 or 10 minutes. Other than that, you're reading documents and giving us the thumbs up and letting us know, hey, it's good. Or if there's a change that we need to make, you send us an email back and let us know that we need to make a change, and we're going to send it back to you for you to review it. But that's the way this system works, and this package works. So I hope that this has been helpful for you, and it gives you the confidence you can do this without the hassle of doing all that other stuff that you will have to do if you set out and do it yourself. So to get started, just hit the green button down below, say that I want this package, and leave the rest to us, and I will take care of it from there. So I look forward to working with you, and I wish you the very best as you transition from this part of your life to the other part where you're no longer married. Thanks for listening.